I want to break down the various verdicts in a minute, but overall, I wonder if there was a period, having covered her the way you have for so long, where you wondered whether or not any guilty verdicts might be in doubt.
I definitely had my doubts, especially the day that she testified about her alleged abuse at the hands of Sunny Balwani. That testimony was really emotional, and you could tell the jurors were riveted by it. I was in the courtroom that day. And at the end of the court day, I came away thinking maybe she isn't going to be convicted. I think the prosecution was able to turn the tables, or at least make up lost ground by cross-examining her. And then I think the prosecution's closing arguments were really strong as well.
Right. Now, the asymmetry between verdicts related to investors versus patients, do you find that disappointing?
I mean, it's disappointing in the sense that I thought the biggest outrage of this scandal was that she went live with technology and experimented on patients. But that's not what the charges were. The charges were that she allegedly defrauded patients. And that was always going to be a very hard case to make, the notion that she deliberately tried to defraud patients and tried to, illegally make money from them, I don't think was going to be a very compelling case. And so I thought from the beginning, once the indictment came out 3.5 years ago, that the investor part of the case was the more compelling one, the one that was easier to prove. And that's how it played out.
John, good morning. It's Deirdre. I wonder, we're still waiting on sentencing. If you think that there's an argument to be made that perhaps she shouldn't go to prison. The Information had a piece that argued this, that said that there was so much excitement around a young female founder. It really set her up to fail. You look at other cases like Anthony Evandowski at Waymo, who went over to Uber. He was pardoned by Trump. Do you think that that comes through at all in the sentencing?
Well, I really disagree with the notion that she shouldn't do any prison time. I think, she's been charged on 4 counts of wire fraud. She built $144 million out of those 3 investors. Really, if you count Murdoch and other investors from that round, it's several $100 million more. I think that crime deserves a stiff punishment. And I think the message also needs to be sent to Silicon Valley that you can't take the exaggerating and the hyping too far. You can't let it cross into lying, or there will be consequences. And so I think it's important for there to be a prison sentence so that it sinks in with VCs in Silicon Valley, with entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley, that there are consequences to lying and that there are consequences to committing fraud.
John, how important do you think it is that this was a medical product? It was a health product. And how unique is this? Because we saw her in the black turtleneck, the mock turtleneck, trying to evoke Steve Jobs, Apple topping $3 trillion in market cap for the first time yesterday. That's a real company with real products. But she was trying to spin something else. And there's an argument out there that she's having the book thrown at her more because she's a woman, or because, I don't know. But what do you make of that argument and the uniqueness, perhaps, of Theranos among all of the entrepreneurs and all of the fraud cases that you've seen or studied?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an important point, which is that she had a medtech company. This was a medtech startup. This wasn't a computer company. And so, yes, she was following in the footsteps of her idol, Steve Jobs, of her early mentor, Larry Ellison, who famously exaggerated the features of Oracle's early database products. But those guys knew that they were operating in the computer industry. They were operating in the software world. And the consequences in that world aren't that you're putting patients' lives at risk. With a medical product, with a blood testing diagnostic product that doctors and patients, tens of thousands of them, by the way, in this case, that doctors and patients are relying on for important medical decisions, I think the stakes are a lot higher. And so I think what's unique about this case isn't so much that it was a woman and that she is getting the book thrown at her because she's a woman. It's that she was operating in the medical world, and that anyone with common sense operating in the medical world, in the healthcare sector, understands that the stakes are much higher, and that you can't put people's lives at risk.